Voice, have you ever wondered why the world's most powerful nation keeps targeting India? Yet India walks out stronger every single time because there is a problem rising on the global stage, a nation that refuses to bow, refuses to break, and refuses to stop growing. But what if I told you the world is now realizing something completely unexpected? The harder they push India down, the higher India rises. Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will change how you see global power forever. India's rapid rise has become one of the most significant shifts in global power, and this momentum is exactly why the United States keeps applying pressure. When a nation grows at a speed that starts changing global markets, defense partnerships, and technological landscapes, it naturally attracts attention, especially from countries used to holding the top position. India's ascent is not accidental. It's the result of decades of groundwork, expanding industries, and a population that embraces innovation at an unmatched scale. Every year, India strengthens its position in fields that shape the future: artificial intelligence, space exploration, pharmaceuticals, digital infrastructure, and renewable energy. This kind of growth does more than raise eyebrows. It threatens long-standing hierarchies. The U.S. sees a nation that no longer follows the old playbook. India negotiates aggressively, trades selectively, and builds alliances on its own terms. It partners with global powers but refuses to be controlled by them. This independence challenges the traditional expectation that rising countries must lean on a superpower for support. India, instead, has positioned itself as a country that can stand alone, compete independently, and collaborate from a place of strength. That shift disrupts the balance many nations are accustomed to. As India expands its influence, it opens doors for smaller nations to choose new partnerships, reducing the U.S. long-standing dominance in various regions. And when a new player rises, especially one with population power, economic potential, and diplomatic maturity, pressure becomes a predictable reaction. The U.S. targets India not out of hostility, but out of fear of losing strategic advantage. India's rise signals a world where power isn't concentrated in a single nation anymore, and that new reality forces older powers to adjust their strategies. The faster India climbs, the more the U.S. feels the urgency to counter it, but every attempt only highlights how unstoppable India's growth truly is. One of the greatest strengths India possesses is its ability to respond with strategy instead of emotion. When global pressure rises, many nations react impulsively, raising their voice, rushing into decisions, or reshaping policies out of fear. India does the opposite. It pauses, observes, calculates, and then responds with precision. This calm and measured approach is often misunderstood by countries that rely on immediate force or fast judgments. But India's strength lies in patience, not panic. It studies every angle before taking a step, ensuring that its choices not only resolve the present challenge, but also strengthen its long-term position. When targeted with unfair criticism or diplomatic pressure, India rarely lashes out. Instead, it uses negotiation, intelligent policy shifts, and carefully built alliances to neutralize the situation. This is why external attempts to push India into a corner usually fail, because India never allows emotions to dictate its direction. It understands that global power is a long game, not a moment of reaction. Every move India makes is designed to secure the next decade, not just the next headline. This strategy becomes even more powerful when dealing with major countries like the U.S. While others might fold under the weight of such influence, India stands steady. It knows when to push back and when to stay silent, when to speak firmly, and when to let actions speak louder. This disciplined mindset turns every challenge into an opportunity to demonstrate maturity on the world stage, India's strategic patience sends a clear message: it cannot be manipulated through pressure or fear. It will not crumble under political narratives or be shaken by sudden global shifts. Instead, it adapts, learns, and responds in a way that protects its interests and elevates its position. That is why, time after time, India outmaneuvers attempts to weaken it, because strategy, not emotion, is the foundation of its strength. Every time an external force tries to limit India, something remarkable happens. The pressure backfires and becomes fuel for India's next leap forward. This pattern has repeated itself through economic challenges, diplomatic disagreements, trade restrictions, media narratives, and geopolitical maneuvering. Instead of weakening India, these attempts ignite a deeper determination within the nation to innovate, improve, and rise above the circumstances. The world often expects India to stumble when confronted with global pressure, yet India's instinct is to transform that pressure into progress. When trade barriers are imposed, India accelerates its domestic production and strengthens local industries. When global voices try to discredit its decisions, India uses the moment to reinforce its independent stance and win respect for its resilience. When strategic partnerships are tested, India diversifies and builds stronger connections across regions: Asia, Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. Every push forces India to find new paths, new technologies, and new alliances that make it less dependent and more self-reliant. This ability to convert adversity into advancement is rooted in India's historical experience. A nation shaped by centuries of struggle naturally develops a mindset that sees challenges not as threats, but as opportunities. This mentality creates an unshakable foundation. The more pressure India faces, the more creative, disciplined, and assertive it becomes. External forces often underestimate this inner strength. They expect India to retreat, but instead, India evolves faster. Even diplomatic criticism intended to isolate India ends up amplifying its global role. Countries take notice of India's calm responses, its confidence, and its refusal to be cornered. As a result, India gains admiration and strategic goodwill from nations that appreciate its balanced approach. Attempts to weaken India consistently produce the opposite effect because India uses every challenge as a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. The world pushes, and India rises higher each time. India's strength is deeply rooted in something far more powerful than military hardware or political influence. It comes from a collective resilience built over centuries, a unity that survives pressure, and a long-term vision that guides every major decision the country makes. This resilience is not loud or dramatic. It exists quietly in the mindset of the people, in the culture of endurance, and in the belief that growth is a journey, not a race. When faced with global challenges, India doesn't rush toward shortcuts or temporary fixes. It invests in steady progress, trusting that consistent effort always outlasts sudden force. A major part of India's power comes from its people, innovators, scientists, farmers, entrepreneurs, students, and workers, each contributing to the nation's momentum. This diversity creates an ecosystem of ideas, skills, and values that no external pressure can easily break. Whether it's economic disruption, diplomatic tension, or technological competition, India's response is shaped by this steady determination to move forward without losing balance. It has learned that true strength isn't about reacting the fastest, it's about enduring the longest. India's unity plays a defining role too. Despite being home to many languages, cultures, and beliefs, the country comes together when faced with challenges. This unity acts as a shield, protecting the nation from attempts to divide or weaken it. Countries often struggle when internal divisions grow stronger under pressure, but India becomes more focused, more aware, and more connected. Then there is India's long-term vision. Instead of shifting direction whenever global circumstances change, India sticks to its broader plan, building self-reliance, strengthening partnerships that align with its interests, and developing industries that shape the future. This vision allows India to stay calm even when global politics becomes unpredictable. The foundation is strong, the focus is clear, and the drive to rise is unshakable. This combination of resilience, unity, and purpose is what makes India impossible to break. For a long time, the United States assumed that India would follow the same pattern many rising nations did, lean heavily on Western support, rely on external technology, and adapt its policies to match global expectations. But India surprised them. Instead of depending on a single power, India diversified its partnerships and built systems that reduce foreign influence. When pressured, India didn't collapse or retreat. It adjusted, adapted, and found new paths to protect its interests. This ability to evolve quickly is what caught many by surprise. India didn't wait for permission or validation. It built its own solutions, created its own opportunities, and shaped its own future. In technology, India moved from being a consumer to becoming one of the world's most important innovation hubs. In defense, India began shifting from import-heavy strategies to developing homegrown equipment. In diplomacy, India built relationships that are flexible, independent, and balanced. These changes made it harder for any single country to dictate terms or limit India's influence. What the U.S. expected was compliance. What India delivered was confident independence. Every time the global environment shifted, India adjusted its approach. When trade pressure increased, India strengthened its internal economy. When geopolitical tensions rose, India expanded alliances across continents instead of relying on one direction. When global narratives attempted to paint India into a corner, India responded with transparency, long-term planning, and strategic calm. This adaptability is what many countries underestimated, especially the U.S., which is used to smaller nations bending under influence. India's evolution is not just about growth, it's about transformation. It reshapes itself without losing identity and competes without engaging in unnecessary conflict. This makes India unpredictable in the best way possible. It cannot be manipulated by pressure because it always has another route, another partner, or another strategy. This ability to reinvent itself while staying grounded is what has allowed India to stay ahead of every attempt to weaken or control it. India's role in the world has changed so dramatically that many nations are still trying to catch up with this new reality. For decades, India was seen as a secondary player, important but not central. Today, that perception no longer fits. India has become a country others must work with, not work around. Its decisions influence global markets, its voice carries weight in diplomatic negotiations, and its partnerships shape the balance of international power. This rise wasn't sudden. It was built through years of steady growth, calculated foreign policy decisions, and a clear understanding of where the world is headed. What makes India's position so significant is its ability to connect multiple global sides without fully aligning with any of them. It engages with the West, collaborates with the East, builds ties with Africa and the Middle East, and strengthens its own regional influence. This flexibility ensures that India is not trapped in one bloc or dependent on one superpower. Instead, it moves confidently across global platforms, choosing what serves its interests and stepping back when something doesn't. Few nations can maintain this balance, and even fewer can do it with India's consistency. As India continues to rise, every attempt to control or restrict it becomes less effective. The world has begun to recognize that India's ascent is not temporary, it is structural. Its markets are expanding, its military is modernizing, its youth population is shaping the future of technology, and its diplomacy is making it a stabilizing force in turbulent times. Countries that once saw India as an emerging nation now see it as an essential pillar of the global system. This shift is why the US and many others can no longer afford to overlook India's influence. India is not moving into global power, it is already there, and every challenge thrown at it only confirms the same truth. India is becoming one of the central forces shaping the world's next chapter. So when you look at the pattern, the message becomes clear. Every time the world tries to slow India down, India accelerates. Every time someone doubts it, India proves them wrong. And every time pressure is applied, India transforms that pressure into power. This nation doesn't collapse, it evolves. It doesn't retreat, it rebuilds stronger. The world is shifting, and for the first time, India is not just responding to change. India is creating the change. The US may try tactics, strategies, or pressure, but none of it works the way they expect, because they are not facing a country that breaks under weight. They are facing a country that rises under it. India stands tall today not because it avoided challenges, but because it conquered them one by one with resilience, intelligence, and unshakable confidence. And the world is finally beginning to understand a reality that cannot be ignored anymore. India's time is not coming. India's time is already here. If you believe in India's rise, if you believe in the power of resilience, if you believe that no force can stop a nation driven by purpose, then don't just listen, be part of it. Share this message, spread this truth. Let the world see the strength, the unity, and the unstoppable fire that defines India today. Stand with the idea of a confident, self-reliant, globally respected India. An India that shapes the future, not just adapts to it. Thank you for your time, your energy, and your belief in this journey. Your support gives strength to every word, every message, and every effort to highlight India's rise. Stay strong, stay inspired, and remember, every great change begins with people who dare to believe in it. Thank you, and see you in the next message.